Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So Uncle asks, if a person, he misses a rak'ah, one rak'ah or more, and after the Imam gives salam, right, he would stand and complete his salah as a masbuq, right? So when he stands and he completes his salah as a masbuq, then what should he say, right? What should he say, right? Remember at the beginning, that person already said Allahu Akbar, that takbir, that tahrim at the start of salah. So he doesn't have to say that after the Imam gives salam. He doesn't have to say that raise his hand and say Allahu Akbar to what initiate and commence his salah. He already commenced his salah, he already initiated his salah. Right? So that person, he would what? He would say Allahu Akbar, and this Allahu Akbar here is not obligatory. This Allahu Akbar is what would move from one posture to the other. Like if the Imam were to go from standing to ruku, Allahu Akbar. Right, from moving from posture to posture, that Allahu Akbar, they call that takbir al-intiqalat, the takbir of, from moving from one posture to the other. That is not obligatory. He doesn't even have to say it, but so the Imam gives salam, he would stand after the second salam, right? So many people after the Imam gives first salam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, they already what, standing. No, stand after the second salam, right? Why? There's two reasons here. One is that the two salam are any obligatory or wajib, not one salam but both. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. When Imam completes the salah, so both salam are wajib. So after the second salam. Secondly, if the Imam, for example, has to do sajda sahw, and he gives what the first salam, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, then now he would go and do what? Sajda sahw. But you already standing. Right? So wait until the second salam of the Imam and then stand. Right? If a person say the Imam give one salam, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and the Imam goes for sajda as-sahw. So whether that person already reached his standing posture, that masbuq, that one is going to make up for his missed salah, he is standing, then he would leave his standing and join the Imam in sajda as-sahw. So anyhow, after the second salam, that person would stand, right? And he would recite thana, ta'awudh, tasmiyah, remember the T, remember them, right? He would recite that thana, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa tabaraka asmuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. التعوذ أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم تسمية بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And he would start with Al-Fatiha. And after Fatiha, he would recite a surah. Right, this is he completes his first rakah. That answer the question? Okay. So this is the benefit of Mudhakara Muraja'a revision. So probably after every 2 months we do a little revision. That's scapegoat for not preparing your weekend.
If a person reaches, like say Asia Salat, you should be 4 rakats. When you start from, to make up for your Salat.
We mean 4 rakats, exactly.
When you reach late, right? And 4 rakats in progress.
Right, the 4th rak'ah in progress, right? Okay. So the basic principle, man adraka rak'ah faqad man adraka ruku' faqad adraka ar-rak'ah. A person who gets the ruku', he gets the rak'ah. So a person, you would only say a person he got the 4th rak'ah if he gets at least the ruku'. So he enters the salah and the Imam is in the 4th rak'ah, right? Whether it be standing posture, right, or whether it be in your ruku posture, he gets the 4th rak'ah. So if he gets the 4th rak'ah now, that means he missed 3 rak'ah, right? And we mentioned simple and a simple. We had an exam in this 2 years, right? A simple rule: every 2 rak'ah is a sitting. After every 2 rak'ah, there's a sitting. And how are you going to check this 2 rak'ah? Whether you perform it by yourself or you perform it with the Imam, it doesn't matter. after every 2 rak'ah there's a sit-in. So this person, he missed what? 3 rak'at. Alright? So when the Imam gives salam, he would stand. He would stand to complete his first missed rak'ah, the first one out of the 3. Right? So after the Imam gives salam, he would stand and the same what? In Thana, Ta'awud, Tasmiyah, Fatiha and a surah. After a surah, he would go into ruku and then complete that rak'ah after 2 sajda. After completing 2 sajda, that person now, would he stand or would he sit? Let's go back to the principle. After every 2 rak'ah is a sit-in. He would stand or would sit? That person would sit. How or why? Because he got 1 rak'ah with the Imam and this is what? His 1 rak'ah. 1 and 1, 2. After every 2 rak'ah he would sit. Right? He would sit there now and he would do yani at-tashahhud. Right? After tashahhud he would stand. Now he would stand and he would recite just what? Fatiha, or he can recite any tasmiyah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, and a surah. Right? Understand, in every single Fatiha rak'ah there's what? Fatiha and a surah. The first 2 rak'ah there's Fatiha and a surah. The 3rd and 4th there's just Fatiha. Right? In a fard salah, whether you perform it by yourself or the Imam performing it, right? The first 2 rak'ah there's Fatiha and a surah. The 3rd and 4th, there's only any al-Fatiha. So anyhow, after what? The sitting posture, this person, after at-tahiyyat, he gets up now and he recites a Fatiha and a surah. Goes into ruku, he makes 2 sajda. Question now, after completing 2 sajda, would that person sit or would he stand? He would stand. Right? Because this is what? His 3rd rak'ah. Right? 3rd rak'ah with the Imam, in all length. 3rd rak'ah, even though it is his 2nd rak'ah he is making up. Right? But this is actually his 3rd rak'ah. So he would stand. Right? And when he stands here, now what would he recite? Just Fatiha. Right? He will just recite Surah Fatiha and he will go into ruku, make 2 sajda. And after making 2 sajda, what he would do? He would sit. This is his last sit-in. He would sit. At-tahiyyatu lillahi wa salawatu wa tayyibat until the end. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And he would make dua and he would complete his salah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So this is how he would complete his salah. Right? So just 2 principles, understand? Once a person gets the ruku, he gets the rak'ah. Right? That's how you're going to count it. And secondly, in making up, right, every 2 rak'ah, there's a sit-in. Right? And after every 2 rak'ah, there's a sit-in. Alright? This is in the sense of Salat al-Maghrib, there's only what? 3 rak'ah anyhow. So you would sit after, you would sit in the 3rd sit-in after the 3rd rak'ah anyhow. Right? What's that? In Salah? Right? In Salah there's no specific dua to be recited. The place of dua is what? Before Salam. Right? The place of dua is before Salam. There's no specific dua to be recited in the sense that what? The dua that is normally mentioned what? In these English books that are printed, Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi dhulman kathira wa la yaghfiru dhunuba illa until the end of the right. That is khalas. One dua, but a person what? Whatever dua he wants to make, right? Whatever dua he wants to make, so long as it is in the Arabic language, right? So long as it is in the Arabic language, that person can make whatever dua he wants, alright? When he gives salam, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, then the salah is finished, is completed. So he can make dua in whatever language he wants, right? In English language, whatever he wants, he can make dua. But that dua which is made within the salah, before the salam, it must be what? In the Arabic language. And as we mentioned, they are what you call al-ad'iyah, al-jami'ah, type those what? Ad'iyah, those dua that are what? Very concise, very short, but it has what? Great and what? A great amount of, you need, khalas, a large amount of explanation, meaning what? It has what many great meanings then, right? What a person can probably want, he wants to say in a whole 5-6 sentences, okay, it is summarized in his dua, right? One person has his entire dua, his entire need, what he wants, right? It is summarized in what? This one dua. And the dua that mentioned in the Quran is the best dua. The dua that came in the ahadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, that is the best dua to be recited. And also a person, whatever is his need, right? He makes dua, but it must be in the Arabic language. That is within the salah, before the salam. After salam, a person, whatever dua he wants to make. Question? Janaza, the question is if janaza is a salah or is it what a dua. Janaza is a salah, right? But in that salah, all you recite is what a dua. So people say, listen, janaza is actually a dua, right? But no books of what? No books of fiqh, no books of ahadith, you would say what? The book of the dua of janaza, the janaza is a salah, right? But in that salah, that is a salah, bila ruku' bila sujud. It's a salah that does not have what ruku' and sujud, right? So the call was salatul janaza, hey, this is not janaza, this is a dua. No, that is wrong, right? But yes, what a person actually does in salatul janaza, he recites what? A dua, right? He makes dua for the deceased, right? So understand when you speak about dua, right? There are no what? Requirements and obligations connected to dua. You can sit and make dua, you can lie down and make dua, you can turn whatever direction and make dua, right? There's no conditions to making what dua. But the moment they say it is considered to be a salah, then there's what? Prerequisite, there's rules and regulation. It must be what? That person must have been in a state of tahara, cleanliness. That person must be facing the qibla, right? So yes, salatul janaza is actually what? A salah, right? It is a salah. So much so if a person what? If you look at the fard components of a salah, right? You have qiyam, you have ruku', you have sujud, these things, right? If you look at the fard components of salatul janaza, dua is not a fard component. If a person what? For example what? He performed salatul janaza, but he didn't recite a dua, or that specific dua, or any dua. Is his janaza salah valid? Yes, his janaza salah is still valid. Why? Because the fara'id and the fard acts of salatul janaza is your 4 takbir. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So that person he joins the congregation, he joins the janaza, and all he recited is what? That 4 takbir, then khalas, his janaza is valid. Alright? So dua, salatul janaza, yes, within it there is a dua, but it is not okay. Salatul janaza is only a dua. So it means that if we make a dua for the deceased, for example, before burial, right? Even before the janaza, people gather, before the janaza is even started, a person make a dua, right? Or a dua is made. Would that suffice? No, that would never suffice, right? The obligation here, the fard al-kifaya, is the salah itself, right? The moment, understand here, the moment that person dies, right, you hear news of the death of a person, khalas, you're allowed to make dua, right? You're allowed to make dua straight on that he buried, that person is buried. Even after he's buried, you make dua for that person. But all of this, no, khalas, that would not replace salatul janaza. Khalas, you make it up before the salam. Before you give salam, you make up the takbir, Allahu Akbar, how much ever a person miss out, right? And he makes it up before the salam.
You need to recite
no, just the takbir and the salam. No.
I would like reciting the
Right. We keep janazah for what? We prepare something nice in janazah, right? Allah asks beside janazah. It's khalas to recite, it's mustahab to recite the beginning part of it. Surah Baqarah at the head and what? The last part at the foot. Mustahab in the sense that what? It is not a sunnah, the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, right? Something recommended if it is done, inshallah. I hope that there'd be rewards, inshallah. But it's not something that is obligatory, right? It's not something that is obligatory, and at the same time, it's not a bid'ah, right? Some people would say, listen, this has no basis, right? No, there's some athar, right? It has some basis in it, except we cannot say this is what a sunnah the Prophet alayhi salam. This is something that he instructed, right, or he even did, right? So it's not a bid'ah, and at the same time, it's not a sunnah any of the Prophet alayhi salam. So if it is left out, there is no sin, there is no karaha, right? And if it is done, then khalas, that is okay, that is allowed.
I was at a funeral once where after they buried him, somebody was going to do that, and they had a prominent scholar, and he started to talk about and say, well, you know, it had anything like that in the books of hadith and that kind of thing, and I bid that kind of thing.
Right, so khalas, understand that not a bid'ah, right? That person is understand, if you don't know, it doesn't mean why it don't exist, right? That is what it mentioned what from this was the instruction of a particular sahabi, right? Yes, it was the command and instruction of what the Prophet alayhi salatu salam. Hence, it is mentioned the mustahab recommended. Khalas, a sahabi he did it, right? A sahabi he did it. So khalas, based on that, even what is this dua that we recite? Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi dhulman kathira wa la yaghfiru dhunuba illa ant. That is the dua that what the Prophet alayhi salam that wasn't his dua generally in salah. This was the dua of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. If you look at what the hadith of the Prophet alayhi salam, most of the time he would what? That particular juncture in salah, before salam, the dua he would mention is what? That Allah Azza wa Jal what? Protects a person from fitnatul mahya wal mamat. The fitna of what? Life and death, fitna al-masih al-dajjal. This was the dua that would normally be recited at that time, right? Before salam, the dua with these contents, right? Otherwise, a person allowed to make whatever dua he wants, right? Whatever dua he wants.
The most learned person is someone who is not valid. Can a person lead the salah?
Right, so understand this, you have the thing about the most learned person, right? A'lamuhum, aqra'uhum, right? And it's mentioned what in the books of what? Fiqh, the books of ahadith, right? But there's a little clarification here, right? The scholars, the ulama, when they mention, okay, what? Who is more worthy of what? Leading the congregation? Who is more worthy of leading the salah, right? And they mention those who what? A'lamuhum, aqra'uhum, the most knowledgeable. Understand? This is when you're going to select an imam, right? You're going to select an imam in the community for a particular masjid. So these are the qualities that you should look for, right? But understand, once that imam is selected, al-imam al-mu'ayyan, he's already selected, then he is more worthy of leading that salah. So if time for salah now and we have an elected imam, right, he is more worthy of leading the salah, even though what a'lamun nas could come, the greatest scholar could come, could be in his presence, he has more right to lead the salah. You understand? So it's like, okay, what? A person elected to what? To lead the salah, and a big sheikh passing through, a scholar, right? He has more rights to lead. No, he doesn't have more rights to lead the salah than the imam. The imam, he has what? More rights to lead the salah unless he gives consent to somebody else. Alright? So this whole thing over here is what? In selecting an imam. But after imam is selected, he is more worthy of leading that salah than anybody else. Alright? Just like what? The ulama, the jurists, they mention, if for whatever reason, what? Salah time khalas, by someone's house, someone invite you for what? For a walima, or you need food or whatever gathering he had, and time for salah, right? And now salah is going to be established there in congregation, right? They're going to perform salah at home, right? The most what? The work time, that person who's more awla and worthy of leading that salah, yes, in that congregation you have ulama, you have hafad, and you have this, khalas. You're all what? Types of people there. But who is more worthy of leading the salah? Sahib al-bayt, the owner of the house. You can come in my house and play one. Hey, I see one. Right? And this is what the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, right? Sahib al-bayt, right? The owner of the house, he is more worthy of leading the salah, right? Unless, there's always what? Right? Unless what? He doesn't know how to perform salah, right? He doesn't know how to perform salah, and or perform salah in a manner that would render it sahih and valid, right? But if he can perform salah, and obviously what everybody can perform salah, even what? Listen, it doesn't mean what he didn't memorize this and that. Yeah, if the man just know what? Any two surah, khalas, he is more worthy of leading the salah. Unless he gives consent to somebody else. He calls someone forward, you lead the salah, right? Otherwise, he is more worthy of leading the salah. And that is sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Right?
So, on the same question that we asked yesterday, we say and college come to pray now, and we have a little 9-year-old Hafiz. Is he more worthy of leading the salah?
Now, see, for a person that is not valid, right? You see, I don't think the sisters they would understand, right, the question, because we elaborate plenty, so they would understand what's right? Yeah, that's right. But the questions that went by, I think they probably get it just said. Anyhow, this question over here, if there's a gathering of what, 3-4 people, time to perform the salah, within the 3-4 people, there's a hafiz of Quran, right? And he is non-baligh. He is not baligh. Is he more worthy of leading the salah, right? The answer is what? Simple, no. For that non-baligh child, his salah is what? Nafil. If that non-baligh child doesn't perform salah, will he be held accountable? No. He's not accountable. غير مكلف. He is not subjected to the laws of Sharia, right? If he doesn't perform salah, he is not what? Accountable. He is not sinful, right? But yes, if he were to perform salah, that would be a good deed. That would be what? A good deed, and that would be written in his account, right? But for him, that salah is what? Is nafil. Even though he's performing fard, for him is not fard. Allah Azza wa Jalla didn't make it obligatory upon him. Why? Because he's not baligh. So for him now, if he were to lead this salah, you're going to have a scenario of what? People performing fard salah behind a person performing nafil salah. Salatul muftarid wara'a al-mutanaffil. Wa hadha la yasihhu 'inda al-Hanafiyyah. According to the Hanafi madhab, that is not valid. Right? That is not valid. It's as though like a person performing 2 rakah nafil salah, and you come to what? Or 4 rakah nafil salah, and you come to what? Join in his salah, and your intent is what? 4 rakah dhuhr or asr or whatever, right? But his what? His salah is nafil. So that iqtida and that follow will not be valid. Is it what? Allowed for ladies to read janazah, right? It is allowed for ladies to read janazah. For whatever reason, people in Trinidad feel that, okay, ladies cannot perform salatul janazah, alright? Yes, you have the whole thing about, okay, ladies what come in to the masjid, ladies what come in, for the janazah itself, that's a different ruling, right? We're not going into that ruling, but listen, the ladies already present, right? The ladies already present for what? Offer condolences upon what? The family and this and that and whatever. The ladies already present, right? This is the scenario we're looking at. They are allowed to what? Join the janazah? Yes, they are allowed to perform the janazah. And for them, it's not a conditionally that what? That the sufuf be muttasil. It's not a conditionally that when the lines be connected. This what the men perform janazah, they could be what? A gap, right? A gap, and after that, the ladies, what they will have their sufuf and their lines. It's not a connection it's not a condition for the validity of their salah that what their lines join the lines of the men. right? So yes, they can perform any janazah. The same shurut, the same conditions apply to the men would apply to the women. Right. See, this topic, inshallah, we'll start this topic next week, inshallah, janazah, right? And burial and shrouding and... Okay, ladies visiting what? The cemetery. The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned a general hadith, Kuntu yani nahaytukum an ziyaratil qubur. Right? Once I had what prevented you, I had what prevented you from visiting what the graves. Right? Ala fazuruha fa innaha yudhakkirukum bil maut. Right? Visit now. Now you can visit the graves, visit the cemetery. Why? Because it reminds you of death. So if the illah over here at tadhkir bil maut, if the illah and the reason for visiting what? The cemetery, so that a person can be what? Reminded of death, then khalas, a man and there's no difference between a man and a woman. Only men should remember death and women, they should remember death also. Right? So yes, they are allowed to visit what? The cemetery. Yes, in saying that, yes, you have rules and regulations, right? They don't go out to any khalas, displaying what their beauty and this and what khalas, they go on, they don't go on wail and cry and khalas, these conditions, when these conditions there, they are allowed to what? Go and visit the grave, visit the cemetery, right? But there's a difference between visiting what? The cemetery generally. I think we didn't repeat the question. No, I mean what? I know the question, but we didn't. But they would get it. They will know what we're speaking about, inshallah. Right? So that is one, visiting what? The cemetery. Right? The next one is what? Tashyi' al-janaiz. Following the janazah to the cemetery. That is something else. Right? Following the janazah to the cemetery. Right? This is where they are prevented. Right? From following the janazah to the cemetery, right, for burial, right? Over here now, khalas, many of the ulama, many of the scholars, what? They have the opinion that what? No, women not allowed, right? This part, tashyi' al-janaiz, when the janazah, the deceased is what been carried to the cemetery. Yes, you have people following that janazah to the cemetery to be buried. The janazah is also called the name of the deceased. The deceased is also called in the janazah, right? So following that janazah, that deceased to the cemetery, this is what the woman should not do that. As for general visiting afterwards, anytime, yeah.
What 3 days and 40 years?
Are you really want to hear that? No, serious, are you really want to hear that? No, but where's the intent of listening to? We want to find out then. This might be the last class. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, alright, we obligated to what? To serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is it, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alright? The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, La ta'ata li makhluq fi ma'asiyatil khaliq. There's no any khalas. A person is not, there's no what? There's no obedience to the creation when it involves disobedience to the Creator. These are basic principles in Islam. Right? Whatever action we do it for what? To please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's not like, okay, what? You just have to do it because everybody doing it. No, khalas, in Islam there's a purpose for everything. Alright? Our actions, if it is in accordance with the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, only then it will be what? Rewarded. Only then it will be, khalas, a person would get blessings. Right? And this is what we do actions for, to get blessings, not to just what? For doing sake. Alright? Are they sure they want to hear that? Listen, every action we do, and we ask, okay, where is the proof and evidence? Where in the Quran is mentioned, where in the Hadith is mentioned, okay, which of the Imams, right? Which Imam, right? Khalas mentioned that, and this is how we worship Allah Azza wa Jal, right? All the classes so far, okay, we see, okay, this is the Salah, the Prophet alayhi salam. We speak about, okay, about dua before salam, dua after salam, whatever. Khalas, we speak about what? The laws of Allah. We speak about the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam. And this is what we want to do. Right? Understand, it's not, once it is a sunnah, a practice of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, khalas, then it is rewarded. Right? Then that action is what? Rewarded. If it's not a sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, khalas, it is what? It's just not rewarded. No, khalas, it becomes a burden upon a person. When the Prophet mentioned, kullu bid'atin dalala. Every single bid'ah, every single innovation is what? Dalala. Is a misguidance. Wa kullu dalalatin finnar. And every misguidance is in the fire of Jahannam. Understand? What is meant by that? Every misguidance. The action would not be in the fire of Jahannam. Is the perpetrator of the action would be in the fire of Jahannam. Right? So, 3 days and 40 days, where it came from, right? Understand? When a person what? He does a 3 days and a 40 days, what he does, then he what? And he seeks to get reward, and he seeks blessings and rewards for himself, his family, and also what? The deceased? Not so? Listen, what we do it for then? No, everybody just do it. We do it because khalas, we really want to benefit the deceased, right? Khalas, people mukhlis, they're sincere. We want to benefit the deceased, right? But if we want to benefit the deceased, right, that deceased would only be benefited from those actions in which what the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, he himself, he did or he instructed, right? So you should probably just give some homework then, right? Where in the Quran, where in the Sunnah, where in any books of Hadith, right, you will find what? 3 days after what? Demise. 3 days after demise, there's what? How you call it? A praise, right? Or 40 days after demise, there's a praise, right? Understand? In Islam, listen, you could build a building, you could what? Engineer something, you could design on your own will, whatever you desire, you can do that, right? There's no limit to that. But in the Sharia, when it comes to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have no right. Nobody have rights, right? Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal, He is the sole legislator. No one legislates beside Allah Azza wa Jal. Inil hukmu illa lillah. Legislation is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So simple, listen. It's not very difficult. Look and see, right? There may be certain things that, you know, that is what, that probably occurred in our time, never occurred in the time of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, right? So khalas, that never occurred over there, so we don't know, right? Probably just see what we can deduce, what the ulama they mention, right? But if he's speaking about death, that occurred at the time of the Prophet alayhi salam, so simple, right? When someone died at the time of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, what did the companions do? What did the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, what did he instruct? What did he order? Look and see. When he himself, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, sahibul wahi, the one who revelation came to, when he died, what did the companions do? This is our deen. This is Islam. Right? How is it that, okay, Christianity, and all these different denominations and whatever, because everybody interpret how they feel to interpret. Our interpretation is limited to the interpretation of the Sahaba. If you pick up the Quran, right? Remember last class we were speaking about the Prophet ﷺ mentioned what? The destruction of this ummah is in what? In the Quran and milk. We mentioned Quran and milk. We mean the Quran, they would what? They would interpret the Quran in a way that it was never meant. That meaning was never intended. Right? So if you pick up the Quran and you read a verse, and you deduce from that something which is contrary to what the Sahaba they understood, the Imams they understood, these what? Generations of what? Ulama they understood. You deduce something what? Contrary to that. Hey, take that and throw it away. One time. No, but one time. Right? Our understanding is what? Based on the understanding of these ulama. Right? From the time of the Prophet ﷺ until now. Right? So, understand, the salvation of the latter part of this ummah, Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned, the salvation of the latter part of this ummah, it is what? In following what? Those first generation. Simple as that. Whatever was considered to be deen and religion, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, in our time that is deen and religion. Whatever was not considered as what deen and religion, right? At his time, khalas, in this time too, there's no deen, there's no religion, it's not deen. Simple as that, right? So yes, you're not answering the question, right? So where we ask you the question, okay, where you get the 3 days and 40 days from? Let me ask you the question. Where you get the 3 days and 40 days from? No, I mean, this is the importance of class. I mean, we're not going to condemn anybody, but listen, at the end of the day, we are Muslims, okay? We want to do something which, hey, that's the sunnah. We want to know what's the sunnah, right? That is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. This is the practice of the Prophet ﷺ, right? And this is what we want to do, right? Yeah, the 3 days, and that is all your homework. Where it came from. Right? Right, this is the what? This is the rationale behind it. Right? This is the rationale behind it. So what wrong with the 3 days and 40 days? Right? What wrong with it? We read in Quran. Right? We read in Quran, we given good advice. So this is what? The rationale behind it. Nothing wrong with that, right? But understand the issue here, when you specify takhsis biduni mukhassis, when you specify something, right, in a particular time, a particular manner, in which the Sharia did not specify, then this is the problem. Why it has to be 3 days? Why we can't do it for what? After 1 day, after 2 days, right? Why we can't do it on the 5th day? Right? Why we can't do it? Why we do? Listen, Akika, why we do it on what? The 7th day? That we get time. No. Why we don't do it on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th day? Why we specify the 7th day? Because it's sunnah. It comes in the sunnah. Right? That's not our specification. Right? So when we specify 3 days, right? Because Saturday Tablighi has that afterwards too. Right? Afterwards, we get them a little breather today, right? So when we specify 3 days, right, this is the issue, right? That takhsis, to specify something in the name of the Sharia, right? That this is something that is what? Desirable and rewarding. You need proof and evidence. Why we don't do it on the 4th day, the 5th day, the 6th day, the 7th day, and after 40 days, the man still in Barzakh. We forget the man. But we remind him after a year again. Okay, this whole thing, the specification, that is the issue. Why Jumu'ah is the best of days? Because, okay, in Islamic countries, they would have holiday that time, right? That would be their holiday. So that the best day, a person could say, listen, because we have holidays, no work. But understand why Jumu'ah is the best day. Allah Azza wa Jalla specified that, selected that to be the best day, right? So that selection and specification comes from the Sharia, right? My birthday, my anniversary, that has no virtue on that. Even though I were to put virtue and come and say, you know what, I'll come and gather on the day of my birthday, and even though I tell the audience, listen, may Allah bless us for gathering in such an auspicious day. What auspicious about my birthday? Even though I mention it auspicious and virtuous, it has no virtue. Virtue would come what? From the Sharia. The Sharia was specified. Right? And that specification is only from the Sharia. Laylatul Qadr. Why is it best of night? That is from the Sharia. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He mentioned, وَرَبُّكَ يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيَخْتَارُ. And your Rabb, He creates whatever He wants, and from His creation, He places excellence. Right? Virtues and excellence in some of His creation over the other. So here now, how we put in virtue and excellence on our 3 days, and specify the 3 days, and not the 4th day, and the 5th day, and the 6th day. That is the problem. Right? If you say, okay, no, the 3 days, it comes in hadith that the Prophet ﷺ did this, did that. We understand. There's nothing like that. Right? Understand, there's nothing like what? We're speaking about, there's not like the 3 days and the 40 days. Right? You're not going to find it in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Right? Secondly, right, what we do in the 3 days and the 40 days, right, you're not going to find, forget the days now, you're not going to find that in the practice of the Sahaba, the practice of what? The Tabi'in, the practice of what? The Imams, the Muhaddithin, you're not going to find it. Forget the days. What is done in that 3 days, what is done in the 40 days after death, khalas, you're not going to find it. Right? So this is the issue. Right? This is the issue at hand. Right? And it's not like, okay, we just reciting what? Quran and giving a nasiha. We doing that Quran and a nasiha because that person died. Right? If he didn't die, we're not going to do it. We do it because he died, and we do it because this is what? 3 days after. Right? This is what we specify. Otherwise, listen, a person died, khalas. The Quran mentioned you make dua for that person every single day. Right? You make dua for that person. You recite Quran, you send what thawab, you send reward. That is not specific. Right? Because of our specification. Right? And many people, they believe, listen, that Quran must be read in the house of the deceased. Right? So if you mention to people, listen, that the man died, we will gather what? After what? The janazah. We will gather in Maghrib, after Maghrib Salaah, recite some Quran and what? You know, send the rewards to him. No, that must be in the house. As though what? The party of rewards is from the house. Right? So all of these what? Right? And normally, listen, if you look at the Sunnah aspect of what? Janazah. A person died. Yahi, when a person died, you give that person time to grieve. They might organize tent, chair, chananalu, whoever. We supposed to be bringing food for the people. We supposed to be taking care of what? The family of the deceased. Alright? You understand? You think about it, right? Listen, you have what? Your birthday, you celebrate. You have your anniversary, you celebrate. You have Eid, you celebrate. Your child born, you celebrate. All these good acts, what? You celebrate, and you have food and this and that, right? The man dead. What you celebrating? I mean, if there's a 3 days and 40 days without food, we understand, but this is part of it, right? So this whole thing over this is a sad day, right? A sad time. This is a time, khalas, the family and the woman also, what, in her iddah, she must remain in the confinement of her home. But khalas, you have to prepare this and prepare that, and guests gonna come and this, and you have the whole family, what, right? So the whole concept of this whole thing, right? And I can tell you exactly when the 3 days and 40 days come, right? But exactly where it came from, right? Has nothing to do with Islam, right? And the thing about it, one thing is what? Understand? Once it becomes a custom, it hard to what? I could say what I want over here, right? After this majlis, he talking nonsense. Don't study he, right? And this, khalas, why this is what the words of the Prophet alayhi salam, right? When a sunnah, right? is removed and eradicated, right? And a what? And a bid'ah takes its place, then khalas, that would remain. That is why you see so many rewards. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, Man ahya sunnati. That person who would revive my sunnah, he would get the reward of not one martyr, 100 martyrs. Why? Because when that dead is dead, when it's dead in a community, it's difficult to revive that sunnah again. Alright? So a person who revives that sunnah, he would get the reward of what? Not one shaheed. You know, is 100 shaheed? One shaheed khalas guaranteed Jannah. You talk about 100 shaheed, that's how difficult it is. Right? I still sitting here. Right? And nobody there. That's enough. Out. One time. Right? No, this is how it is. Alright? But you do the homework. Right? No, listen, you do the homework. Sometimes we look at the Hindu people, what they do. Boy, what they doing, boy, that will make no sense. The Christians want to, because they understand it's just rituals and customs, right? What are you doing that? Okay, well, this is what we just do. This is what my father just do. This is what my mother just do. Yeah, we don't have that in Islam. What are you doing that for? This is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. This is the command of Allah subhanahu. That is why we do it. Otherwise, what are we doing that for? You understand? So, there are many what? In this whole aspect of it, contradictions of what? The sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and this what? And this whole thing about, okay, is Quran, given nasiha. But do you understand that? Why? For what reason? And why the specification? Alright? Khalas. Simple as that. Why the specification? Alright? It's not like it was a convenient time for everybody 3 days. No. Alright? Why the specification? That specification is only from what? You don't have takhsis in Sharia except it comes from what the legislator, except it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except it comes from what the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We can't khalas. Even what? The Tablighi Hazrat, okay, Thursday, right? Thursday program, we can't change that. No, khalas, in many places in the world they have that same program, Saturday, Sunday, whatever is a convenient time. Right? It's not like, okay, it must be that time, like what? Jumu'ah must be Friday. We can't put Jumu'ah in any other day. So that program they have on a Thursday is not like, okay, they can't move it from there. No, that come in what? In Quran and so. No, khalas, you can move that any day, any time. Alright? But the moment you tell yourself that, listen, no, it cannot be what? According to the Quran or the Sunnah, according to Sharia, it must be on that day. This is where what? You get misguided. There's no takhsis, there's no specification. Alright? So, what is that? No, khalas, we believe ma anzalallahu alayna. Khalas, what Allah Azza will reveal upon us, what He revealed upon the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. No, understand, this is not a blame game. Right, so listen, if it could be proven from what? Sharia, listen, I do everybody, just book me free. I do everybody 3 days and 40 days. Right, just prove from the Sharia khalas, from the Sunnah of the Prophet, and I do it, bus. Right? Understand? Simple as that, right? But where they get it from? What's khalas? Who mentioned? Right? But understand, there are lists of things, a long list that a person can do, understand, to benefit the deceased. If we really want to benefit the deceased, right? No, just think about it. You sit down eating chana and alwan and curry goat. How that benefiting the deceased? No, just think about it. And we want to benefit the deceased? You benefiting yourself, right? And Imam, whoever do the prayers, he get a stipend. Or if he get a stipend, he get the eating, right? Right? So understand, listen, understand here. Alright. You talking about reciting Quran, that's something good. Hey, eating is good too, nothing wrong. Hey, listen, cook and you feed people, nothing wrong with that. That is what rewards, right? But understand over here, why are we doing it in the name of what? The deceased. Why are we doing it in the name of, okay, khalas, the benefiting the deceased after 3 days? What? Understand? To give a nasiha by itself, advice, nothing wrong with that, right? To recite Quran, nothing wrong with that, and send the rewards, right? To feed people, right? But here now, when you put all that in a package and specify a date, okay, this is going to benefit. Where we get that from, right? You know what? Listen, a few minutes, eh? No. I mean, this is the point to come down here now, right? Listen, in Christianity, right? The holiest what? The holiest days in Christianity is not really what? Christmas, is what? Easter, right? Easter Friday and Easter what? Sunday. These are the most holiest days in what? In Christianity, right? So they believe that what? Isa alayhi salatu salam wal iyadu billah, he was crucified on Friday, right? He was crucified on Friday. And after being crucified on Friday, right, he was resurrected on Sunday. This is where 3 days come from. 1, 2, 3. Right? This is fundamental belief. What I tell you, if you want to look and find proof and evidence for 3 days, you're not going to find it in the Quran, you're not going to find it in the Sunnah, you're not going to find any books of Hadith, any books of Fiqh. You're not going to find it, right? And if you're there, why do everybody 3 days and 40 days? You have to pay, right? Just cook some good food, right? Anyhow, I mean, at the end of the day, listen, we want to please Allah. We want the benefit, that the deceased be benefited, right? Like a person, listen, you want your money to be, you want to invest your money, you want that your money grow, put it over here, right? Yeah, he taking that, he taking that money, you benefited from that, right? You want that when you put your money, let's say that you're ready, it's a good investment and you're going to what, benefit from it. So anyhow, 3 days, all right? 40 days, same Christianity, right? They believe that, listen, the Christians believe, right, and those who are reverse, they can attest it, right? They believe that, listen, that Jesus, Isa alayhi salatu salam, realm was amongst his people, right? Was amongst his people for what, 40 days, right? He remained amongst his people for 40 days, right? That's why I say, okay, this one what? How he named? Paul, right? He was an apostle, right? But how he claimed Jesus said this and Jesus said that, it sounds like the church here now. But listen, this is what they believe. He was amongst his people after being what? Resurrected for 40 days. Alright? Go to what? Hinduism. Right? Hinduism, they believe in reincarnation. You understand? They come back as how you live your life, right? When you die, come back as what? Lizard, cockroach, all kind of thing. How you live your life, right? But according to what? Hinduism, right? That soul, right? It remains that what? It remains in what? Before we go to Hinduism, that's why you ask what? Some Muslim people. They would tell you about that 40 days when Jesus, that same one amongst his people, they would tell you, the soul come and visit the house. The soul is there. Ask some of them to tell you that. Right? Go to what? Yeah, you're here, right? So understand the origin where it came from. Go to Hinduism. When a person what dies, right? That soul what? Or whatever remains what in a realm for 40 days. Only after 40 days it would be decided according to their belief. It would be decided, okay, what they would be. That whole what? Concept of 40 days and 3 days, you're not going to find it in the Sharia. Right?
That's what we're trouble for 40 days.
Right? I mean, plenty what people who are doing prayers might lose their stipend. Right? But listen, at the end of the day, we know what? Khalas, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bas. And it's not like, okay, hey, you're doing the wrong thing. We didn't know before. We grew up on the same thing. Right? But understand, what is the reality to it? Right? Is it something pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is it something rewarding? That's the question we have to ask. Anyhow, we have a class next week? Right? I mean, we could speak this on this at length, but something, as you ask a question, a person would only ask, the intent was to find out, was it correct thing? But some people, they don't ask, right? They don't ask because they don't want to find out, they don't want to know, right? Nothing wrong in this thing, right? But understand, here we speak about the specification, right? So like if what? Right, so if you have the family come together, a person, okay, listen, he recites Quran or he does any good deed, gives sadaqah, whatever, on behalf of, this is, inshallah, he'll be benefited, right? But sometimes understand over here, we do this for what? For 3 days, and then afterwards we skip, or sometimes do it for 40 days straight, and then afterwards we forget the deceased. So listen, so after what 40, what's going to happen to you after 40 days? But no, we just do it for 40 days. And Islam is not like that, right? Yeah, he would be over there until what? Until the day of resurrection, right? So at least what? You know, the money we take into what? To buy the chan and the aloe and the goat. Hey, take that money and give it in sadaqah on behalf of the deceased. Oh, that wallahi al-azim, that would benefit him, right? Because when you invite everybody, boy, they put too much salt in this channel, boy, all this thing is, hey, don't call them people by your house. You want to benefit the deceased. So see, look, we'll print out that inshallah, those actions that would what? Benefit the deceased. Based on what? The ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is what we want to do. Right? And this whole what? Concept of what? You have wake. You put in difficulty on the people. Coffee finish. Bring this, bring that. The man dead. You feel as what a party, you want this and you want that all of me is what totally what? Against what? Against the Sharia. Right? What is that? First class I am first speaker.
Okay, so like, basically what we get together here and read Quran, read the Quran. Some people say that you're not supposed to do that, everybody can sit down and read Quran, they can only one, so you're supposed to read and everybody is supposed to listen.
No, if you want, listen, if you want to read Quran, there's a specific what? Reward for reciting Quran, and there's a reward for listening to Quran, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, a person what? He reads what? One harf, one letter of the Quran, he would get 10 blessings, right? 10 rewards. And then he mentioned, Alif Lam Mim is not one harf, Alif is one harf, Lam is one harf, Yani Mim is one harf. So this is the blessing for a person what? Reciting, right? Yes, a person what? Listening to Quran, that has a reward also, but it's not the same as a person who recited. You understand? So you recite, he recite, nothing wrong with that. Right? But understand, there's not a specific place, they don't specify the place, right? The rewards are what? Don't leave from a specific place. Anyway, right? The house of the deceased, in the masjid, in your office, in your house, anyway, that person does what? Makes dua, he recites Quran, and he asks Allah Azza wa Jalla to send it to what? The soul, the ruh of that person, that deceased person. And sometimes, listen, understand something, right? Sometimes that seclusion, understand something here, right? And this one you don't have to take it from if you want, but sometimes that seclusion has more sincerity in it, right? You sit down and khalas by yourself, you recite Quran, you make dua, you cry, this and that. The more sincere your action is, the more sincere your dua is, more readily accepted by Allah Azza wa Jal. Right? Then you have a whole what? We say don't do it. No. The whole what? Gathering and this one, khalas. You know? Understand? More sincerity and more ikhlas there is, right? It would go. Right? And more so if you have to listen, if you have to pay a man to recite Quran, I wonder if this is really going to be benefited, but if I didn't pay him, you not recite it, you know, right? Because we want that the disease be benefited, right? So this is where that ikhlas and sincerity comes from, and more ikhlas and khalas, more readily accepted that action is, right?
My next question.
It's up to Allah, you know, let's salat time.
Okay, so is there benefit in like playing a recording of Quran in your house and they go? Is there only benefit if you recite it?
No, understand, with regards to Quran, type anything with the Quran, khala, there is benefit, right? there is benefit. The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned al-baytul alladhi tuqra fihi al-baqarah. Right, tuqra, the word, this wording was used. That house in which Surah Baqarah is recited, right? Is recited. Obviously somebody would recite it, but the wording over here, that house in which what? Surah Baqarah is recited, right? No shaitan would be there, right? No evil jinns would be over there, right? So based on this note, you hear people mentioning, the ulama they had mentioned, based on the wording of the hadith, hey, play Surah Baqarah in the house, right? If you can't recite it, play it. That is what? With that now, it would have an effect, right? So yes, if you listen to it through a tape or what, or you play, there is benefit in that, right? Obviously, it will not be the same benefit if you were to actually recite it, right? If you were to actually recite it, the rewards for that is far more than what you need listening to it in a tape or otherwise, right? So it's not void of rewards. There is rewards. Permission? Oh, listen, alright? So listen. Alright. Simple principle again, right? A dead person would not be accountable for the action of a living person. Understand? If that person passed away, the question is, okay, if a person dies and Salat al-Janazah is what? Perform on that person, then after that person is cremated, right? The question is what? Would that janazah be valid, or would that, we could add the next question to that also, would that cremation, would that have an effect on the deceased or not? Right? So understand, our actions, we cannot do our action that would harm the deceased. We could do action that could benefit the deceased, right? So if a person dies as a believer, and we perform Salat al-Janazah, yes, he'll be benefited, right? But if that person dies as a believer, right? And we have amongst the living people who took the body and cremated the body, or took the body and chop it up, or throw it in the sea, that deceased would not be harmed, right? That deceased would not feel that pain, would not be harmed because of the actions of the living, right? But in this case over here now, a person he performed the Salat al-Janazah, right? That would be valid. Salat al-Janazah would be valid once they're finished. Now, I mean, this issue would arise normally a person he comes from a non-Muslim family, he accepts Islam, and now you have this battle here, now the person died. Who has claim to the body? The family would have claim to the body, and the family being Hindus or whatever, they would want to cremate, but at least they would respect, listen, he was a Muslim, so you know what, do your thing and we'll do our thing, right? The ideal thing is that khalas, he be given a janazah and buried in a Muslim cemetery. But you don't have if you don't have that authority, then and the family, this is what they insist, right? Their cremation of the body would not harm that person, right? But here, listen, this is one thing that we should understand. The ulama, they mentioned, right? If a person knows that, listen, if he were to die, this will happen to him. It is obligatory upon that person to make a will, right? Understand? A will that governs anything. What you say, understand? The ironic thing about it is when you're alive, people take you on, people don't take you on, they don't listen to you. But listen, what you write as a will and you die, that will take precedence. That will take precedence over anything. This is what he said, a valid will, okay, this is what. In any court also, that will take precedence. So a person dies, before he dies, listen, when I die, I want that my body will be given the Muslim rights, a burial according to Muslim rights. Khalas, finish. Right? You should mention that. Right? At least we could keep it in masjid also. People accept Islam. We just have one paper, right? One single paper. Probably I'll give you a template, right? They follow the name, ID, everything. If I were to die, right? I request that my body my funeral be according to Muslim rights. Two witnesses, but then we file that. Finish. Done. And it costs nothing. You have to go by any lawyer, anything like that. Right? And that would suffice.
Last question.
Right. any Hanafi madhab, a condition for janazah is what? The body must be there. Right? Other madhab, we have what they call as-salah ala al-ghaib, to perform salah upon a person who is not present. Right? We don't want to go into the proof and evidence for that, right? But according to the Hanafi madhab, the body must be present. Right? If the body is not present, right, there is no janazah. Right? Right, so janazah, to perform janazah and a person that is not there, that is not what? That is not from the Hanafi madhab. There are many Sahaba that passed away, right, in the absence of the Prophet ﷺ in different places in his lifetime, and he never offered salat, any janazah upon them. Why? Because the body wasn't in his presence, right? This whole thing, this happened, one incident took place in the entire lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ, where this what? Najashi, the king of Ethiopia, he had accepted Islam, but he never migrated to Medina. He remained there. Upon his demise, when the news reached the Prophet ﷺ, he performed salah al-janazah upon him. He wasn't present. And here the ulama mentioned this is a specific case scenario. This never occurred before, right, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, nor did the Sahaba, they do it after the demise of the Prophet ﷺ. So right? So if that's the case, listen, when a person die, forget to go, don't go, right? Everybody gather here. We will do Salat al-Janazah upon him. Don't worry to go by the house and go drive quite down there, right? We do it over here, don't worry. So every Janazah we do it here, right? And once you give the allowance, right? So if a person buried without what? A janazah. Understand over here? A person must be a Muslim, right? If a person die without being a Muslim, is no still do the janazah now. No khalas. That is prohibited. You'd be sinful for that. You're not going to benefit the deceased. And furthermore, you'd be sinful for that, right? And there's a direct command of Allah Azza wa Jal to the Prophet ﷺ. وَلَا تُصَّلِي عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَى قَبْرِهِمْ وَلَا تُصَّلِي عَلَى أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ. Do not perform salat al-janazah upon any of them. Any munafiq that is mentioned here. So now a person dies a believer, a Muslim, but Salat al-Janazah was not performed because the person accepted Islam, and you know what? In our family, and they just bury the person, we find out the person die and they bury and everything, and no Janazah. Right? Yeah, we finish this one. Right? So now in that case, right, according to what? The Hanafi madhab, it is allowed, is still allowed to perform Salat al-Janazah on the grave of that person. They give condition, malam yantafikh or yatafasakh al-jasad. So long as that body didn't start to burst or swell. And they normally give about 2-3 days, right, for that, right? And it depends on what the area also, the type of soil and climate and everything. But they normally give you 3 days maximum. And this is based on what the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where there was this woman, she used to clean the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, right? And this woman passed away, she entered Medina, she wasn't part of Medina, she came, right? And she used to clean the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, and she passed away, right? She had no family and anybody in Medina, but the Sahaba, they thought, they took it upon themselves to see about the rites of shrouding and burial and everything. So this is what they did, right? So they did the janazah and the burial, right? But they didn't inform the Prophet ﷺ, right? I think that was in the night time also. So they did that. They didn't want to disturb the Prophet ﷺ, thinking that, listen, this is a normal person, right? We're going to disturb the Prophet ﷺ with that, right? So they did it on their own and they buried the person. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was informed the next day now, he said, Khalas, why didn't you inform me? Right? Because my salah upon them would be what? a means of yani rahmah and mercy upon them. So the Prophet ﷺ, he went to the qabr, he went to the grave after what? The person was buried, and he offered what? Janazah. Alright? He offered any Salatul Janazah. So yes, the allowance is there. So if Salatul Janazah wasn't performed, the body was buried, yes, they are allowed to do the Janazah on the qabr itself, so long as the body didn't start any to burst. Right? And that is estimated 2 to 3 days. The classes is going better like this, don't prepare anything, just come on out. No, listen, sometimes, okay, I would prepare something, I would prepare and I would teach something, thinking that, okay, it's beneficial. But I think what more beneficial is, okay, what you have, what you want to hear, what you want to find out, right? I might mention about 100 things, but you might be interested in that, right? Because you're interested in other things. So if you only classes like this, run like this, I have no problem. Once in 2 months. Right? Inshallah, okay, we'll do janazah then, right? We'll start from what? Visiting the sick, when the person's about to die, inheritance, everything, estate, the will, and 3 days and 40 days. Everything, inshallah. Right? Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.